Welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving deep into a really critical topic, one you'll definitely need to know for your exams: land degradation. It's this silent threat happening right under our feet that impacts our food, our water, and, well, billions of people.
So let's just kick things off with a number that's kind of hard to wrap your head around: 1.7 billion. That is the number of people who are directly feeling the effects of this, seeing their crop yields drop because the land they depend on is literally getting weaker. This isn't just some far-off environmental issue, It's a massive, direct threat to food security, and it's happening right now.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll nail down what land degradation actually is. Then we'll get into the real-world impact on people and harvests. After that, we'll look at a really interesting angle: how the size of a farm plays a huge role. And finally, we'll wrap up with the good stuff, the policies and strategies that can actually fix this.
Right, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's make sure we're all on the same page. Getting a really solid definition here is the foundation for everything else, and it's an absolute must-know. So here's the best way to think about it. Land degradation isn't just one bad season for a farmer. No, it's more like a long-term sickness for the land itself. It's a slow, steady drain of its ability to do its job. Growing food, filtering water, supporting life. And what's the cause? Well, it's us. The key words to lock in your brain here are persistent decline and human activities. Super important.
And here are the main culprits. You've got deforestation, which is a huge one. Get this: clearing land for agriculture is behind nearly 90% of global deforestation. That's just wild. Then there's overgrazing, unsustainable farming methods that just strip the soil of nutrients. And of course, erosion and salinization, which is when the soil gets too salty to grow anything. It's a whole mix of things.
Okay, so now we know what it is and what's causing it, but why does it matter so much? Well, this is where it stops being an abstract problem and becomes a very real human crisis.
Just try to imagine this for a second. You're a farmer, and every single year, you're harvesting 10% less than you used to. That's the reality for millions of people. It's a direct hit to their income for sure, but it also means less food for all of us, which can drive up prices and make it harder for families everywhere to get by.
And that 10% yield loss, it doesn't just stay on a spreadsheet. Here is its most heartbreaking consequence: 47 million children suffering from stunted growth. These kids are caught in this awful cycle where degraded land means less food, which means deeper poverty, which locks in malnutrition. We're talking about their entire future being put at risk.
Now, for your exams, this is critical to remember. Where is this crisis hitting the hardest? The epicenters are Southern Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. These are regions that are often already dealing with so many other challenges. All these things pile up and create these intense vulnerability hotspots where the human cost is just off the charts.
Now, let's peel back another layer of this problem. It's something that doesn't always get talked about, and that's the incredible inequality in farm sizes around the world. This isn't just about who owns what. It's about power. It's about who shapes our food system and our planet's future.
I mean, just look at this chart for a second. The numbers are staggering. You've got 85% of the world's farmers. These are the smallholders feeding their local communities, and they're all squeezed onto just 9% of the farmland. Meanwhile, a tiny fraction, just 0.1% of farms, controls half of all the land. It's a massive power imbalance, and it's right at the heart of this crisis.
And here is why that global picture is so incredibly relevant for India. With nearly 30% of the world farms, the vast majority being small family farms, India is ground zero for this challenge. The future of Indian agriculture and the livelihoods of hundreds of millions of people really depends on us figuring out how to support these small farms.
So you've basically got these two completely different worlds of farming living side by side. On one side, the smallholders. They are the absolute backbone of local food security and biodiversity, but they are vulnerable and face so many constraints. On the other side, you have the huge commercial farms. They dominate global trade and have the money to invest in big changes, but they also have a massive impact on land use. The solution has to involve both.
Okay, we've laid out the problem, and it is a big one. But now for the good news, this is solvable. We actually have the tools and the know-how to reverse this trend. So let's talk about the policies and strategies that can actually make a difference.
All right, here's a handy mnemonic for you to remember for your exams. To make our soil rich again, you just need to remember RIC. R is for regulatory. That means setting clear rules, like banning deforestation. I is for incentive-based. This is all about rewarding farmers for doing good things, like protecting ecosystems. And C is for cross-compliance, which is a smart way to link government subsidies to good environmental practices. RIC. And for the strategy, we've got another one. Think of a sharp, direct arrow, ARR. First, and this is the most important, you avoid degrading healthy land to begin with. Then, for land that's already in use, you work to reduce the damage. And finally, for the land that's in really bad shape, you have to actively step in and reverse the degradation. Avoid, reduce, reverse. It's a clear, targeted approach.
And this quote just sums it up perfectly. It's such a powerful reminder that we're not helpless here. This is a problem we created, which means we have the power to uncreate it. We can actually transform agriculture from something that degrades the land into a powerful force for healing it.
Okay, let's do a final quick-fire recap. This is your ultimate summary slide. We've got the core definition, the huge global impact, the devastating human cost, the shocking disparity in farm sizes, and India's absolutely central role in all of this. And don't forget those mnemonics, RIC for policy and ARR for strategy. But if you remember one thing, let it be this. Land degradation is not irreversible. We can fix this.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought. We know it's reversible. We know agriculture can be a force for regeneration. The question is, how do we get there? What do you think is the single most critical step we need to take to make that shift happen? It's a big question, but it's one we all need to be thinking about.